How do I support a loved one who has experienced sexual abuse? It's a good question. Supporting someone who has experienced sexual abuse will actually vary based on your relationship to that person. And yet there are some things that actually can be very helpful to support a person, no matter what your relationship is. What I will share, though, is not a list. It's not going to be a list that you check the box of all the supportive things that you have done and the supportive things that you still need to do. Instead, take what is shared and do what fits your relationship with the person and the opportunities that you have with that person. Honestly, as long as you're seeking to love them well, you're being supportive. But here are some things that are often very helpful in these kind of situations. One is simply to bear witness, to hear their story. Believe their story. Trust me, they don't want to have to tell this story. They don't want to be in this story, but they are, and you get the privilege to hear it, to listen, to bear witness to the terrible wrong done to them. And in bearing witness, you lighten the load just a little. Another thing you can do is lament. Now, this is something that as Christians, we're actually not very good at, which is kind of odd because it's in the Bible. The Bible teaches us and instructs us to lament. Some of the Psalms are laments, and we have an entire book of the Bible called Lamentations, which gives us a good picture of appropriate lamenting. Lamenting is a recognition and an expression of deep, deep sorrow for things that are not as they should be. It is a felt and expressed sorrow for the suffering and pain that someone is bearing. It is a slowing down to really notice and feel the depth of hurt that they are experiencing. Lament is an appropriate response to abuse. But you can also incarnate God to them. To incarnate simply means to bring something into human form. And in this case, we're talking about God. So show them God through you. Be the hands and feet of Jesus. And I want to be careful here because saying that statement can kind of be a cliche Christian thing to say, but it doesn't mean that we actually shouldn't say it. It just means that we should know what it will mean for us to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And this is where it's really important to remember that the hands and feet of Jesus bear scars. So be prepared to bear the pain of the scars of the abused. Carrying their burden requires you to be present and patient, to listen and to care. But this is exactly what God does for us. It reminds me of Psalm 34:15, where it says, "The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their cry." So be that for them. Be attentive to their cry. Show them Jesus in your compassion. And Diane Langberg does a great job. She teaches on this and she says, let them learn from you who God is. She says, do you want them to know what it means for God to be a refuge? Then be one. Be a refuge. Do you want them to know that God is trustworthy? Then show them by being a safe and trusted person. Do you want them to know God understands? Then be an understanding person. Incarnate God to them. Let them experience Christ through you. And finally, encourage them. Encourage them to seek healing and help. Most of the time, people who have experienced sexual abuse will benefit from counseling. But this can be a big and sometimes very scary step to take. So do what you can to support them in getting the help. Help them explore counseling options. That can be an easy way. Offer to go with them to their appointment. Definitely follow up with them on the days that they have counseling. And never underestimate the power of your prayers for them, especially on counseling days. So these are just a few suggestions. They are not exhaustive. There are a lot of other ways to be supportive, but these are things that I believe God actually calls us to, and they can be incredibly helpful for someone who has experienced sexual abuse.